Mm. All right, we are live. Hello, everybody, for joining us live today. It's so amazing to have you all here. If you guys are new to our channel, my name is Ruan Kutsia, founder of Feather Coaching. And today with me, we have Reina.
Scientist to hack my...
Sorry. The scientist also wants to join in today.
Thank you, Ruan. Sorry about this. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us in live, for following us in our work. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Raina Lundzis. I'm based in the UK. I am a mother of four, and here I am serving to the best of my ability on this amazing journey of life. It's lovely to share this space with you. Today, we have an amazing subject, in my opinion, as I am in it, right? So we decided to, as always, be true and authentic to ourselves and share that part of the journey that it's very rarely spoken out there on the social media, on the internet, because it is not very pleasant, it is shameful, it is not the best that you want to be. But even though, if we do not acknowledge that part of ourselves, this journey wouldn't be complete. So I'll let Ruan introduce the topic a little bit more.
All right, so today we are talking about the... Sorry for that, I just heard double in my ear over here. Today we are talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly, and how we can allow it, what needs to be allowed, and accept what is unfolding, and realizing where our boundaries lie, and what is acceptable to us and what isn't. So, Reina, what does the good represent for you in our journey?
That's a very good question, actually. The good represents the flow, when the flow is uninterrupted, when you are feeling that you are in that zone of serving, of living your best life, of really enjoying yourself, being happy, being joyful, being grateful, and experiencing all those amazing high vibrational emotions that we were meant to always experience anyway, on a spiritual level, let's say, as we are divine beings of light within. We are not the body, but the soul that resides within. So this is the good, I think. What do you think?
Yeah, well, the good for me in a nutshell is when things are going well, right? It's when you are at your peak. It's like when you wake up in the morning and you're excited for the day that's unfolding in front of you. It's when you have that drive within you. If you say, okay, this is what you're going to accomplish for the day, and you set out to accomplish it, even if you don't complete it, but you set it out and you made progress within that. That is when things are going, that's the good part of life. And it's also when you spend time with friends, family, it's when you are in that connected state, as you mentioned, that flow state. All right. And so, yeah, for me, it's when things are going well in that sense. Could be financially, that could also be good, but it's also, but yeah, just taking what we are experiencing and finding the golden nuggets within that. I think that could also be the good as well, seeing the good in it. So coming back over to the bad, right? What is the bad for you? Like, when would you say it's the bad side of our experience?
Right. The bad side of our experience is probably when things are not going that well because we are attached to it, instead of accepting and experiencing that and having the full faith and belief that we are everything that happens is happening for us. It's when we have that attachment. This is when things can go bad, you know. This is when you're like, I'm facing, even though I know that I have set this intention to live a magnificent life, you start experiencing synchronicities that they're not very pleasant for your human experience. Although, as we don't see the bigger picture, it definitely works out for the best of all. That is my belief. But yeah, when you have an attachment and when things don't go that well, sorry, and when you get disappointment, when you feel low, yeah, this is when it's like, yeah, things are bad. I mean, they wouldn't be that bad, maybe, perhaps, but our perception makes it very strong experiences to see it like in even darker light. What about you?
Yeah, so true. Well, for me, the ugly is when trying times and things do not always go our way, right? It's when we want to have control over something, but the outcome is completely opposite than what we want. It's like we want to take a right turn and the road is turning left, but we want to go right. So that for us in our experience is bad, but it won't necessarily always be bad because the road is turning left for a reason, right? Because maybe if the road had to go right, there's 10 more mountains that you have to climb instead of the one that you have to climb if you turn left. So the good thing about life is to drop comparison about what's good and bad. But for the sake of this video, we are diving into the good, the bad, and the ugly. So just to give honor as well to those aspects that we have. So the bad also comes to play when you give too much power to things that you cannot control. If you resist to accept a certain event or circumstance in your life, you're just prolonging the bad in your own life. So yeah, it is crucial to really just embrace and allow whatever is unfolding, just to experience it and discover your boundaries.
Also true. So the bad is like the self-fulfilling prophecy, isn't it? It works on a multidimensional level as everything else, of course. But the more you are caught into that, you know, control or willing to control everything in your life and then not coming your way, you are kind of attracting more of it as well. So what about the ugly part? This is where I want to really touch upon today, on the ugly part, the part that nobody talks about, the part that it's shameful, the part that it's in the wardrobe like the skeleton and you are so scared to open that door of the wardrobe because you know all the bones are going to just spill on top of you. This is where this is my provocation today. That part that nobody talks about. Everybody are going through that part. Everybody is fighting their demons, if you want, further away from the light. But rarely people talk about this, you know. And in our kind of industry, in the self-education industry, where we have all this motivation to go and push forward, we still need to find that balance, I feel, you know, the balance, the discipline, the self-regulation. But along with that, which is really important to move the needle forward, we need to have a good overview of what is been happening, where in the spiral again you need to go and dive deep and clear through another aspect of this that you thought you have cleared ages ago. So, and you are going through that for a reason. So the ugly part, what is the ugly part for you?
All right, so the ugly part is when, for me, it's when we take misaligned action and continue down that path, because it creates a domino effect for it's the discipline, right? So if you take one unaligned action, it causes the first domino to fall, and everything else. And if you continue on that trajectory of your life, everything will be unaligned. So if you know your mission is to serve, but you decide to know you're not going to serve, you're not going to show up, you are creating an ugly version that is going to pop up, not now, necessarily now in this now moment, but in the future, which your future self will have to sort out. And it will create a whole range of emotions for you that you don't necessarily want to experience. So, and also the ugly can come when your past, the things that you've done in the past, when your current moment turns out to be your future self in the scenario, and you have to deal with everything coming your way as you open the door, right? And it's also just allow it, I think, to really push through it is to let everything just fall out the cupboard, because the cupboard is already open, the closet's already open. So, and once you're in there, just scrape it all out. Whatever is showing up, dig deeper and clear out the whole cupboard, because you know next time that the cupboard is cleared, and that you can start packing in your limiting beliefs, everything that it doesn't serve, put that in the cupboard. But if you can store it neatly, right? If you do journaling and stuff like that, that's a way of putting things in the closet and getting it out of your head and into a different storage space. So what does the ugly mean to you, Raina?
So as I already mentioned, and just to kind of expand on it, it's the ugly is also an aspect of ourselves, of our old version of ourselves that we thought that we have cleared through, and we are no longer that version. But then it comes a time where you need to face him, you need to face them. So how do you then face them? This is, the question. And if you have used any kind of coping techniques in the past that they were serving you at the time because you just didn't know any better, and now you have that awareness that this is not helping you, this is not serving you anymore, and you know that, overeating or smoking or drinking, and like we are all humans, have all done this, and we are all doing this periodically, right? It's no longer serving you. Why do you then choose to kind of neglect and abuse your body in such a way? What is underlying there that you haven't cleared, that maybe you pushed last time back in the cupboard, you didn't want to deal with it on a subconscious level? Why do you have this awareness but you still do it? So meeting that older version of ourselves, and I think this is very, very important, to allow that. And I'm not necessarily encouraging any wild actions and go like whoop, as this is no longer part of your kind of journey. For example, it's very misaligned. But have grace for yourself and allow this, accept this, acceptance of absolutely everything. And if you feel like you are doing this one more time, that you are like, oh, I'm not this kind of person, and that's okay. This might seem as a failure to you, and this might seem as a failure in other people's eyes as well. But then you are not a failure, because you have the awareness, you have the choice. So allow whatever needs to come out, let it come out, sit with it, accept it, do it if you want again, and then go back into heart center and then choose. When are you ready to let that go?
Yeah, one thing that really stood out for me, as you mentioned, that is that the experience, especially when it's like an old aspect of like something that was part of our life, in our past version of ourselves before we chose to change, pops itself and presents itself, because it's still a part of you, something that you held dear, or something that a habit that you had when let's say 5, 6, to 10 years ago, and all of a sudden it resurfaces and you feel, okay, um, this is not who you are, but you find yourself doing it anyway. Sometimes we need to go through that experience again in order just to realize, like, okay, why did I stop in the first place? Because, and if we had a habit and it's not a habit anymore, something happened in between that we chose not to do it. And that why sometimes get crowded, or we forget the actual why we did it. And it comes back again for us just to realize that, okay, this is why I chose not to do it. But because it's that seed, that why has already grown, it won't look the same like it did back then, because time has passed until where we are now, and it resurfaces. So it will look differently, but it will be a more spectacular why, and it will be more tangible, and you'll be able to put an end to it and say, okay, thank you for planting the seed back then, right? For it to grow into this, so I can see a bigger picture instead of planting the seed again and having to wait X amount of seasons for me to see the results. So yeah, I think it's important to, like, if you have to go, whoo, go wild, then go wild and see for yourself why you chose a different path. And it's also good to release, because it's a way for you to bring up all that old emotions and kick up the dust a bit. And then you know what to clear, and what you'll discover again the boundaries, and maybe need to go revisit to go and clear some holes in the boundaries. You never know, that's why it could also present itself.
Absolutely. And sometimes it's really hard when you are on the spiritual journey, you know, and you are conscious and you have woken up to the truth, you know, of who you want to be, what you want to create. You have the full responsibility. It's very hard to just be human sometimes. I don't know whether you can relate to that, you know, because we are on this journey saying, okay, so I am the creator of my reality. Okay. And we kind of forget that we are at the end of the day humans. And it's not like embracing only that part of like seeing, hearing, smelling, touching, you know, not all these senses that we have been gifted with as we have come here to experience this life on earth, but to have that balance. And again, we do bring up balance very often in our talks, and have the self-regulation, have the discipline, and be aware that you have a choice, and then choose the choice that serves you, not the choice that it doesn't serve you. And another thing that really I want to mention, I've been mentioning this, is like, it doesn't matter what happened yesterday, it doesn't matter what happened even this morning, it doesn't matter what happened like previously. It's in every now moment the choice that you choose. Resistance will be there as a coping mechanism of the brain to just tell you, oh, but like, why not to, you know, overeat? Why not to like have, you know, sugar for breakfast? Why not to have a cigarette, you know, or to have a drink? At the end of the day, it's just one. And but then again, in the small steps that you make and you choose are building that bigger, you know, picture of yourself, the perception of yourself, your own self-image, which is then creating your reality. So I think a fine balance between being a human and being a spirit in body, it's very important. And I still personally have a way to go to master this, of course. But it's just the joys of this journey, just being aware, being acceptable of that's okay, you know. Feeling as an imposter, that's okay, it's all right, I accept you that you feel as an imposter, it's absolutely fine. What is the next step? And not next step necessarily in doing, as we are so caught up in our lives is doing what's the next step and do, but just being there and just allowing the flow of the being, allowing the person to experience the human experience, allowing the spirit, the soul to be in that body. And I've lost my thought.
Yeah, no, it's so true. Like when we embrace the different parts, different aspects of ourselves, and really see it from an um, like an objective perspective of it, and say, okay, this is what my past self has done. All right. If create a list, take a paper, draw 2 lines, one say past, one say current, and then put down everything in the past that you've done and all the things you're currently doing, and see what corresponds, what is still in the same list as what you're currently doing from what you're past doing. Then ask yourself the question, is it something that I want to do? Is this beneficial for my road forward? Is it not? And if it is, then keep it. And if it's destructive and it's not something that you want on your future trajectory, then say, okay, why should I stop doing this, and what am I going to replace it with? Because if you don't replace it, then there's still going to be that hole that you will still want to fill with anything that comes your way. So let's say bring up for smoking, for instance, right? So if you want to stop smoking, why do you want to smoke? Why do you need to stop smoking? What are you going to replace it with? Because at the end of the day, what does smoking do? You fill your lungs with something. So a pretty good thing to do is breath work, right? Because you still get that buzz and that feeling. Because at the end of the day, people smoke in order to get a feeling, get a short little buzz, right? At the end of the day. But once you start breath work and you learn certain techniques, it's like smoking is over here and you become over here, and you empower yourself instead of lowering your own vibrations. So yeah, finding that thing that you're going to replace it with is so important. Otherwise, it will just be a little hole that you will always want to fill every now and then.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you. And it's willpower very rarely works in that case. That's why it is important to yes, and it is one decision away. This is the thing, right? When you say, okay, that's enough now, I'm no longer this person. The self-identification is so important. And even if that was an aspect of yourself previously, you don't have to stick to it for the sake of sticking to it. You don't have to say, okay, I've been smoking for 20 years. And I am a smoker, you can take the decision to change this. On a physical level, you will experience some symptoms probably. And again, this is all in the mind. This is all the mind perception. If you absolutely disassociate yourself with that persona, with that identity, and you then shift, and then you keep coming back to who am I now, who am I now, who am I now, and you make it a habit of this is me now, and I am absolutely disassociated with abusing my lungs, my body in that way, then you then choose next. So it is a very interesting journey, and thank you for bringing up smoking, as this has been something I have been dealing with in the last few days, which is really interesting because I'm not a smoker, so I quit smoking 5 years ago. And then I have been facing burnout. I have been facing a lot of things that I need to deal with in my life, in my daily life. And I have fallen into an old way of being where I have allowed myself to have a cigarette. Now, this doesn't mean that I have shifted back to being a smoker. And, I'm okay with sharing this. Otherwise, I wouldn't be authentic. And my absolute intention is to be authentic. I'm a human after all. And I give myself so much grace for being a human as well at this time. And just accept her for showing up and being okay. Wow, I have so much compassion for you that you have fallen back into that old way of being. And at this point, as we speak, I have not taken the decision yet that this is not me anymore. Okay, so I'm still going through some kind of purification, facing that skeleton that fall out of the closet because I fully opened it, because there was just no other way. It came up. It had to happen. So I'm like sitting in that space where, okay, I'm experiencing this, like I'm not that, but I'm doing this anyway. But I know that it's soon the time is gonna come where in that next moment I'll be like, okay, you know what? That is not me. So this is the power of shifting your identity and choosing who you are. But I wanted to share this part of my story, which is an ugly and shameful, if you want, for me in my eyes, as I have been so much like, proud of being not a smoker anymore to like, experience this. So yeah, people do not share that shameful part of their journey because it is shameful. It's guilty, I feel guilt, I experience guilt. But at the same time, I'm okay with it. I'm welcoming it. Okay, come and sit with me, guilt. Come and sit with me, shame. Come and sit so we can, have a chat together.
Mm. Yeah,
So
that's so
yeah,
true. And also on the point of like the ugly, right? Because as you mentioned, people don't want to talk about it. And it is so necessary to get that energy, that ugly energy out of you, right? Because if you're just going to not expect it, express it, or get it outside of your head, then it will always stay there and it will only take root. And once it comes back to the surface, it will just be completely it will it will be bigger than what it surfaced originally.
especially,
So
definitely, especially when you suppress it. And this is
yeah.
what we do when we feel guilt, when we feel shame, when we feel these lower vibrational feelings, even anger, and you suppress it because you are feeling like, oh my God, this is not me. Like, what am I going to do? Straight away, I suppress it. So there's no more space there to suppress, It's like a bomb, if you want. It's going to come full on. And in the next moment, you'll be like, you'll explode. And that's not going to serve anybody, not you especially. And if you have family, if you have children, it's not going to be good for them either. But generally speaking about yourself and your own journey of life, it's just not going to serve you anymore. So it's hard to allow, I find sometimes, especially if it is things that you're like, oh my God, like even I'm looking for a word, not resilience. I'm looking for a resentment. If you're like, oh my God, I cannot believe I've done this. Yeah. Being in that space of mind, if you keep suppressing things, it's just gonna come full on. So allow yourself, be that little rebel in the way that you think like, oh my gosh, I'm rebelling against, that's it. And then sit and then decide when to let go. As I told you earlier, I'm not ready to let it go yet. For what reason? I don't know. There is something else underlying there that I'm trying to dive even deeper and see what is this that I'm keep holding on to for the life that is no longer serving me, but I'm keep holding on to what is it, And then of course, when you then go and you find out, and this is the purification, this is where you are in that void, in that space of, oh, so frustrating. But if we accept it and we open our hearts, and we just allow it to be whatever it is, allow it to be, as you already have been working on your mindset, as you are already aware of being a spiritual being, of living a conscious life, then you are looking at it from a different perspective, with that understanding and awareness that you now have so long after you have been.
Yeah, that is so true. And I just wanted, like, from your perspective, what is a exercise that we can do in order to really dig deep into the ugly and just allow ourselves to fully feel what fell out of the closet? Is there anything that process or way that you do just to like accept this ugly part of ourselves?
Yeah, this is a good question. One thing that we can do and has been helping me is to accept it. Now, acceptance is just the first kind of part of this exercise. And it could take time-wise, it could take some time, okay? It might not happen in a one session of sitting there for half an hour and just accepting it, because you might keep going back to, so it could come into a layers of acceptance, but literally just sit there and consciously accept that, look at me, I have shifted into an old version of myself, I have thrown up energetically, I have projected. Okay, I'm not proud of this, but I accept it, I've done it. Then accept, the lower aspect of self, I think, that human aspect, that aspect that is just led by the senses, like literally this that makes us human, right? Just accept that this is who we are on that lower human aspect, and sit down into the acceptance, feeling no resistance of it, and trying to process it through your heart, like accepting not from your mind only, because your mind it plays versatile games, but accept it with your heart and with your whole being, with every cell of your body. If you want, just accept it. Okay, this is me that was 5-10 years ago, and she has appeared now, like she's so hurt, or they're so hurt, they need you right now with your awareness and consciousness right now. That's why they have come through. It's like the inner child. I feel sometimes that is like a part of that work with the inner child, that this child is in the corner crying because it's scared, because it's ashamed, because it's fearful, and all those lower vibrations that they experience, because they have no other coping mechanism, because they only are there with that awareness that they had, so accepting and embracing that process, having so much self-compassion and self-love, even though you are like this, I accept you, I fully accept you, I accept you as you are, I don't judge you, I don't criticize you, I fully and unconditionally accept you as you come. And very often we'll see that when we accept and when we feel that feeling, that emotion in our body, wherever we feel it, and we try to, from that feeling, because this is a very darker energy, in terms of very heavy energy, just tune into that heavy energy. And literally, as you tune into that heavy energy, place it in your heart, and from the light of your heart, try to like dissolve it by acceptance. So literally feel it, see it, or sense it, that it is dissolving, and it's embracing into your physical, into your emotional, into your mental, into your spiritual plane, along with your heart light, because the darker energy, that it's so heavy, it's just absence of light. That is all it is. There is like nothing more. It's just that. With the light of your heart and of your soul, you can just embrace it and just kind of transmute it. Even it's like a transmutation, but acceptance, I feel, is the first part. So you can go and transmute, and as I said, it might not happen from the first time, because it has taken time for that old way of being to be. So I wouldn't expect it with one session of you doing this conscious work to like just disappear and dissolve. Don't get discouraged by this, because you have cleared a layer. It comes on the layers. So just keep repeating this process. When you feel that, instead of repressing it, just allow it to come up, allow it, whatever it is. And it's kind of internal process that you do. So not necessarily project it outside, because this is where you kind of then lose your power, but within your power of your own body and of your own awareness and consciousness. Accept it, allow it, first of all, to come up, accept it as it comes up, embrace it, and forgive it for knowing not know better. And it is a very, very liberating process that one experience within their own sovereignty in their body and in their soul and their being.
Amazing. Yeah, loving, accepting, and just feeling it is so important. And just one thing that I can also tell the viewers what they can do is write it. Write a letter to yourself about what is this thing. It is a very, very powerful exercise, right? Because writing is multidimensional. And once you accept the ugly part of your life, right? You want to get that out there, and writing it is the best way to get it outside of your system and onto an external object. You can even do a fire ceremony once you've done written the letter. Once you've written your letter, have a fire ceremony and burn that letter. And sorry, I'm having power glitches over here. There you go.
No problem.
All right. So once you have a fire ceremony, it's a symbolization of, as you mentioned, transmutation, right? Because fire either destroys or transforms, and energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transformed. So once you place that letter into the fire, that energy becomes released and transforms into something else. But now, as I mentioned earlier, once you've released that, what are you going to replace it with? So what are some things, Raina, that you would say are substitutes that turns the ugly into the good?
This is the next level question, right?
Turn off the heat.
Yes, that is, I love these sessions, these lives that we do, because we, as we were talking now, this is one of the conscious tools of living that we have just channeled through, which is really great. We'll put that into writing into the toolbox. So one of the things that you can transmute the ugly into the good, then once you have done that whole process, and probably a few times before you or you can try it, you can keep trying. That's it. That's a good one. Something that serves you and something that you want to do in your heart, that it is a little bit out of your comfort zone, because remember, the ugly part of you sits in comfort. It's not out of your comfort zone, right? It's always sitting in the comfort. So something that is like a step forward. It could be physical exercise. It could be techniques like a spiritual.
I think something that challenges you.
Yes.
I think something that challenges you.
Yeah, definitely.
Because if it doesn't challenge you, it's just a recipe to go back to your comfort zone. But if it challenges you, it's an opportunity for growth and to learn something new. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with learning something new. It's basically the biggest part of healing is learning something new.
Absolutely. Would you say that the best way is then to experience this in the physical level, then when it's something that challenges us, if we are dealing with that kind of internal purification and transmutation of this energy, and then the challenge that you will be replacing it with, it will be something challenge that is like a physical thing that you don't do either, exercise, nutrition wise? Would you say that is like the best thing to do?
I'd say if you are physically capable of doing, yes, physical is so important. I'm getting an emphasize now that because the physical is the most densest part, that is where the most clearing needs to happen. So it's easy to clear your mental, and you could just put on a motivational video and your mindset will be okay, tricked, that okay, you're fine, you don't need it. But in reality, your mind is now fixed, and you go outside and you're like, oh, but wait, I think there's still smoke left. Then you go out and go grab it, and then the cycle continues.
Mhm.
But if you challenge yourself, right, change your environment. Once your environment is changed, then you, okay, put yourself in a position where you don't have access to whatever you're trying to get rid of, right? Let's say you drink alcohol, you want to get rid of alcohol. Remove all the alcohol from your vicinity that you don't have it. That if you have to travel to get it, you know that the whole journey till you get there, your mind and your subconscious is going to, it's like going for a cold shower or diving for go for ice bath. The journey to there is the most terrible thing there is. The getting in there is like a shock to your system, but it's beneficial for your body, right? But the journey towards that point, your mind is going to play so many games and stuff like that. But now coming back to the ugly, right? Let's say you want to, you on your way to the shop to go get another bottle, all right? And on the way there, your body knows that it craves alcohol, right? Or it craves whatever. So now on the way there is going to psych you up because, yes, that is what the body wants. But now, if you've done it mentally and you've cleared and transmuted it mentally, you are able then to consciously choose,
Mhm.
wait, am I really that desperate to go out of my way to go and get something that I told myself I'm not going to do?
Yeah.
Or am I going to go that just one more time, and then tomorrow one more time, and the day after that just one more time? So it's really important to really go through all the layers, right?
Yeah.
Emotionally, mentally,
Absolutely.
physically. Um, so yeah, a physical exercise that I really would say, if you are capable of doing that,
Mhm.
go for, go climb the nearest mountain, like physically go climb out, just, or go for a walk. Go, if you're not physically capable of climbing a mountain, go, just go for a walk, but something that challenges you, not just an easy stroll around the block, but one that's really pushes your limits so that you can have a different perspective and really get the blood flowing through your body.
Brilliant. Yes, I absolutely agree. Amazing. So just to summarize then, this kind of technique that we it came through today in our conversation then. So when you are dealing with that ugly part of yourself that puts you into shame, guilt, um, resentment, whatever, it's the low vibrational feelings and emotions that we are experiencing, first of all, allow it to come up, allow it to just be in your body, and to linger in your body, allow it to come out. And then as soon as you have allowed it to come out, accept it. Accept it unconditionally, accept it just with no judgment, with no criticism, accept all that there is. Once you have accepted it, just embrace it. Say it's okay, that is okay to be like this, because you had no other, understanding or awareness at that point. It's okay you to come up again. I forgive you is the next step, forgiving it for knowing not any better. And as soon as you forgive that, and as we say, nota bene here, this might need to, at least 4 steps up until this point, you might need to repeat them a few times until you proceed to the next one. It's not a one time thing. It could be it depends what you're facing, but if you have really dived deep into an ugly part of you, old way of being that you thought you have let go a long time ago, you might need to do it a few times. As soon as you have forgiven it, write a letter to yourself, and write a letter and just really embrace that process of why you are now ready to let it go fully and unconditionally. Would you like to add anything else to the letter, Ron?
Yes,
Not be in
and
the
once
letter
you're
yet.
done with the letter, burn it.
Is
Yeah,
there
have
anything
a fire
specific
ceremony.
to put in the letter? Like, is there anything,
Yeah,
any kind of, guidance for the letter?
yeah. So for the letter itself, be honest with yourself. First of all, honesty is so, so important. It's the number one key. It's easy to say, okay, but this is not the you will be tempted to write what you want to experience. But when it comes to the letter, write what you are experiencing in this moment and what you've experienced in the past to really bring all that. Because you don't want to transmute future energies as of yet while you are clearing the old, because otherwise you're just taking this and placing it in the future for it to show up again.
Yeah.
And then you won't be getting rid of it. So really in the letter, write down what you're experiencing in this now moment and in the past when it was your reality. Really dig deep and
Admit.
just allow whatever comes through that you feel that you are writing, just allow it to come through and know that it is what needs to come through, even if it's a bit off topic than what you initially started to write. Maybe that is a deeper layer that what needs to be cleared, which is linked to that. So really just be honest with yourself and allow whatever comes through to come through. And really, one thing that I've found, if you struggle to write, is use your name within the letter.
Yeah.
That is a very something that a lot of people take for granted, is the power of your own name, because it's an identity. And once you put your name in there, it's like bringing your whole being to the present, right?
Yeah.
And then if you take that energy and you continue writing about what you want to release, you're making it personal.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then
So,
once you, yeah.
So absolutely. So, write a letter of what you are experiencing in this now moment and what you are experiencing in that past version of yourself. Be honest and admit absolutely everything. And once we've done with the letter,
burn it.
burn it outside. Burn it outside.
Yeah, please don't do it in a place inside your house. If you do it inside your house, do it inside a sink. Make sure there's no curtains close by or anything that's flammable, because we do not want any houses to burn down. It is not a fun journey to go down, to go through. So be safe when doing so. And yeah, allow it to really just transform and create a space. And if you do create a fire ceremony, create a small little fire outside, and don't just do it for the sake of the burning the letter. Really take in consideration, use that fire ceremony, since you are busy with it, to really take it a step further and incorporate a bigger thing. Have a fire ceremony for the planet, for your loved ones, and everything like that. Just bring all that energies together into one beautiful place. And then once that is done, be selfless and burn your letter last, right? Hold space for other people and then hold space for yourself. It will really take your transmutation of whatever it is to a whole another level. Because if you're just going to do something for yourself, then yes, it will clear, but it won't be as powerful as if you had it's like a train. If you just have a car that goes down, it's not going to go very far. But if you have a horse in front of it pushing the train, then it will go much further. And if you hold space for other people, it's creating a engine and a motor to really pull you further.
Very, very powerful indeed. And then once you have burned that and everything is safe, like again, make sure everything is safe and you're not burning anything down. than just physically do something, go for a walk, go for a run, go climb a mountain, whatever. It's a physical thing to kind of anchor down this new you basically onto your physical plane.
Yeah, and also one thing, while you're on that walk or that physical expedition, really think about what you want to replace that with. So that will go to the next step, is choose something new instead of the old. So yeah.
Amazing. Brilliant. Thank you so much. I think we can put this into writing and go into our conscious tools, conscious living tools box that we are creating almost in every live here, as it is a very powerful technique. So at the end of the day, and the bottom line, I think it's, guys, really, as you are on this journey, and when you're facing this, give so much grace and self-love to yourself and so much compassion, all these higher vibrational feelings that they can really anchor down the new, as well as dissolving and disintegrating the old, as it is multidimensional, that experience, even though we don't realize it with our minds as we are doing this, it's all happening for, with the intention for shifting you into a better version, into the best version, so you can experience the life that you desire and the life that you're worthy of.
Definitely. And I want to thank everybody joining us live, and for everybody joining us on the replay. It's, you guys are all building this energy. We're all building this conscious toolbox basically together, and it's really the collective energy is what we are tapping into, what needs to be heard and felt the most. So we know that whatever we are talking and sharing about is for the greater good of all, because it needs to be heard and shared with everybody that it's intended for. So we appreciate you. Thank you. And
Thank you.
we will see you guys next week, same time, same place. Thank you so much. Live long and prosper.
See you later. Thank you.